Television Network. I'm Julia Hummel, and we're joining you live today from the beautiful Rosen Plaza Hotel.
And I'm Ferriera. We are live this week from Orlando, Florida, the site of this year's annual Student Television Network convention, with a special edition of Focus News.
I'm glad we were able to escape the harsh weather and rain back home in New Jersey, right, Carly?
That's right, Julia. The warm weather we're having here is a real treat. Back home, it's already downpour, and they're expecting more today. Before we get things started, though, let's send it down to Nicole with today's Orlando forecast. How's it looking, Nicole?
I'm Nicole Swenarton, here with your weather in the beautiful Orlando, Florida. We are so happy to be here and not back in New Jersey, where it is a bitter 32 degrees. Today, in Orlando, it will be partly cloudy with a high of 85 and an overnight low of 65. There's only a 10% chance of precipitation, so we probably won't be seeing any rain today. Tomorrow, though, be ready for scattered thunderstorms with a high of 77 and a low of 51. That's all your weather for today. Reporting for Focus News, I'm Nicole Swenarton.
Thanks, Nicole. We were really lucky to be having such nice weather.
That's right, Julia. It seems today that everything in Orlando is bigger than it is back in New Jersey. Bigger hotels, bigger roller coasters, and a bigger selection of amusement parks.
However, along with these supersized luxuries come supersized obstacles.
Today, we're going to take a look at some major elevations and challenges that impact everyone, especially teens.
In Orlando alone, the unemployment rate is 11.8%, leaving many of America's working citizens and their families with new, larger obstacles.
Today, I went out into the field to take a look at how the elevated unemployment numbers have impacted local Orlando citizens and teens. What we found may surprise you.
13.7 million, the number of unemployed Americans. For some, this figure is startling, but for most, it is the all too common reality. Americans across the country are faced with losing their jobs and their income. Some families are forced to move, while others simply cannot afford to eat. The effects of unemployment can best be seen in America's cities, where there are many more workers than jobs. In downtown Orlando, for example, Barbara Ansar, founder and director of Charity and Love Inc., works with some of the hardest hit unemployed individuals. Charity and Love Inc. is a nonprofit unemployment and under-resourced service agency located on Orlando's west side.
It's an agency that helps people apply for food stamps, Medicaid, Medicare, resource center for job search, unemployment. You have to do everything online now, so this particular office helps with that.
Barbara's agency is not only tailored to adults, but also teens, who sometimes need just as much.
I have teens that come and apply for benefits too, and I have to ask them, are you living with your mom? Some of them not. And they're trying to get food stamps for themselves. They probably a situation where they had a run-in with the mom and they're not with the mom anymore, and they live with someone else, a friend. And when a teen lives with a friend, you know, they can't feed the teen, so the teen needs some kind of assistance themselves. So they come and apply for food stamps for themselves.
She finds that, in the cities especially, jobs for teens are very hard to find. The current state of the economy does not have any room for the teenage workforce.
Oh, it's very hard to find jobs. It just it has as the economy like it is, and then the jobs that's available is more challenging because more people are looking for jobs, so they're going to find the most qualified, and maybe somebody that maybe you could hire that maybe not have all the qualifications that you would love to hire, but you can't because of their skills. They don't have the skills.
Charity and Love Inc. is one of the few places that teens can find work in this area. Barbara sponsors a workforce program that offers a way to break into the workforce by gaining professional experience in a volunteer setting. Latasha Benkinson does just that.
Me personally, I'm in the program called Zucare Workforce, and I'm just like them. No income or anything. The only income I get is cash assistance. So that's the reason why it has increased, and it helps a lot of families out that can't really get a job out there in this life.
Latasha, who has been actively seeking a job, knows how difficult it is to find one, especially in this economy.
Very hard. Very, very hard. I know myself at the age I am, I still don't have a job. I'm volunteering. So it's kind of good to help out and put it on your resume.
The work that Latasha and Barbara do on a daily basis is considered to be, by their clients, a true blessing. Many say they don't know what they would do without the agency's support. One client, who chose to remain anonymous, said that the agency is currently her only path to income.
I am here because I have no money and no job. At home, I have 3 children who all benefit from this agency's support. My 2 daughters and son can now have medical assistance if they need it. I don't know what I would do if this place wasn't available to me.
The current unemployment situation effects reach much further than just in the cities. People from all across the country have been feeling the hit, especially teens. Attendees at the Student Television Network convention surprisingly all seem to share one common story.
My dad lost his job about a year ago. Luckily, he's been getting other jobs, and now he's but luckily he's working at home more, so now I can see him a lot more. Well, we definitely don't use as much money as we used to. When usually some families will go out to eat at night, and we'll just cook grilled cheese or something like that. It's something really simple, and I'm okay with it. I mean, it just shows that people are less fortunate than us, and we just have to live with it.
Elon, a student from California, not only worries about the short effects, but the long-term effects that unemployment can have on a family.
My dad lost his job a year ago, and it was a steady job. He's had it for 20 years, so it's been tough, and he's a software engineer, not one of the jobs you would think would go, but yeah, he lost his job, so it's been pretty tough on our family. It was really difficult because it was my brother's first year of college, so we had to pay our college expenses, I had to pay my expenses, and now it's tough on the family too because I'm going to go to college next year, and then 2 tuitions, it's really expensive.
From the offices of Barbara to the home of Elon, unemployment is an issue that impacts people in ways never expected. The 13.7 million unemployed Americans have more than just joblessness in common. They all hope the number of those who are unemployed will no longer elevate. For Focus News, this is Carly Ferriera reporting.
And now, here is Focus News correspondent Brian Murphy, who has more information on this subject. So tell us, Brian, what do you think about this major economic crisis going on today?
Well, I think the current unemployment crisis is really a big issue facing America today. However, there's even a larger problem within this problem because most people find that unemployment is something that only adults have to deal with. However, the biggest group that is impacted by unemployment is actually teens.
So why can't teens find jobs?
Well, there's a number of reasons. Time magazine reporter Stephen Randall actually just did a pretty conclusive study on this earlier this year, and he found that 11 million new jobs are being added to the economy each year. However, there are 12 million new workers each year looking for jobs, so that leaves a million people who are now unemployed. And as a result, they settle for jobs that are normally held by teens, and that pushes teens out of those jobs, and now they have nowhere to go.
And what do teens have to do to increase their odds of obtaining a job in the future?
Well, one independent research foundation just did a study on this, and they pretty solidly found that there are 4.2 million teens nationwide who are actively searching for work and can't find it.
And what do teens have to do to increase their odds of obtaining a job in the future?
Well, there isn't much that they can do exactly. However, they do have to be much more flexible and understand the current economic situation and maybe even work harder for the dollar.
And do you have any personal connection to this story?
Well, I think that because this issue is so large and widespread that it's hard to find anyone who doesn't have a connection to this story. And that's including myself. My dad lost his job 2 years ago, and he had a job at a pretty large firm that was considered pretty reliable, but now that it's gone, he's still looking for work. And it's hard because he has to take care of our family, and it can be a challenge sometimes.
Thank you, Brian, for telling us the story. Now back to you, Julia.
Thanks, guys. The rise in unemployment numbers is not the only elevation that teens face. They, along with many others across the nation, are struggling with the elevating gas prices. Today, I traveled across Orlando to see how others are dealing with this problem. As increased gas prices continue to plague our nation, many Americans have been asking why. Focus News spoke with expert Jamie Court, an award-winning and nationally recognized consumer advocate, president of Consumer Watchdog, and author of The Progressive's Guide to Raising Hell, who explained to us why gas prices are on the rise.
The reason they are is this unrest in the Middle East has created this shock in the commodities market where speculators, people who bet on the price of crude oil, have driven up the price. And so that gives oil companies the ability to claim that since crude oil costs more, we can charge more for gasoline. So this is all profit for them, and it's all paid for us. And people who can afford it the least are the ones who pay the most, because if you're low income or middle income or young and you pay more of your income or your allowance for a greater percentage for gasoline when the price goes from $3 to $4 as it is in California in the last month. That's a huge hit, and you have to make hard choices.
We also spoke with Judy Duggan, the research director for Consumer Watchdog and an expert in oil industry issues.
As far as what you can do about it, what you really need to do is be politically active and apply pressure to the White House and to your member of Congress to say, this is, there are rules that are under consideration to curb this speculation that were passed last year by the House and the Senate that are utterly necessary to bring down this price.
After speaking with the experts, I asked people around Orlando how they feel about the recent and massive price elevation.
The gas prices definitely have been going up, and the thing is I go to school downtown, so it's a far drive, and the biggest part, my parents are paying for my gas, but just having to drive there, I'm filling up about $40 a week, and then just causes you a lot more carpooling, I guess. You get about 15 miles per gallon, so I'd say I'm driving a little less, besides just a school, but on the weekend, I guess I'll, decide to get in someone else's car instead of always driving up there or staying down home.
I spoke with Dave Smith, who explained to us the effects that inflated gas prices have on huge companies such as the one he works for, Ready Ice.
On a regular route, I'm going to use about $150 a day on fuel for the truck, plus you have to pay for the fuel to refrigerate the ice, which is another fuel tank separate, and that could be anywhere around $50 a day depending on how long you're out. Right now with the price of diesel, almost $4 a gallon or more, we're contemplating having to put a delivery charge onto the customers, and if you do that, then they have to charge more for their ice. My son is having trouble as well. He's 23, having trouble paying for gas because he doesn't make near what I make because he hasn't had a job as long, so it's harder for him to get around and do things. So it's younger people, it's going to be even tougher, I believe.
And, as the next generation, we got to keep demanding energy independence.
With this, it is clear that citizens need to take action and follow the advice of Jamie Court and Judy Duggan so that gas prices do not empty our tanks and our pockets for good. For Focus News, I'm Julia Hummel.
As a new driver, I can relate to what many are experiencing. Sticking with that topic, let's send it out to Rachel with this week's question of the day. It was, how would you get around without a car?
So can you tell us what you plan to do if the gas prices keep rising like they are?
Well, once I get a car and once I start driving, I plan on getting a job.
I will probably just use my bike or something. I don't want to pay extra for gas.
I'm probably going to ride my bike more to get from place to place.
I'm probably going to get rides with my friends more or give my friends rides and make them give me more gas money.
Eventually, people aren't even going to want to drive you anymore. It's not you. It's just the elevation in gas prices. We're here with Placerita middle schoolers telling us what they plan to do when they start driving if there's still an increase in gas prices. So how are you going to get around if there's still an increase in gas prices?
I'm going to grow wings and fly.
Okay. How are you going to get around?
Walking.
That's good. That's good for you. How are you going to get around?
I'm going to hitchhike.
Hitchhiking.
I'll fly a plane.
I'm going to carpool. I'll ride a bike.
That's good.
I'm going to ride my pet unicorn.
Probably use a lot of public transportation, buses, walking.
Well, I don't get around with gas or cars. I get around with space shuttles. So I don't think it will affect me at all.
As we've seen today, bigger is not always better. The increases in unemployment and gas prices are just two examples of this. Elevation in these areas lead only to elevation in stress and worry.
This struggle prevents people from living a happy and comfortable life. By elevating your own knowledge on these and other problems that Americans face, we are one step closer to solving them. This has been Carly Ferriera.
And I'm Julia Hummel reporting for Focus News. Thanks for watching and see you next time.